We're in the gallery, the Topographie de l'Art, at the exhibition called Le Mal Now. And this exhibition was organized by two artists, Horst, Haack, and myself, as an exceptional show to deal with issues that are not often expressed in the galleries these days, the issues of social exclusion, immigration, death penalty, drugs, the issue of war, and the issue of history, the social history. And 6 artists were chosen to represent different aspects of this issue. One of the most poignant and beautiful of the artists chosen is Ernst Pignon-Ernest, who has put these beautiful drawings, which are transformed into large newsprint onto walls around the world. This is the first time he's put one of his pieces inside a gallery. He's an artist who has devoted his entire life to portraying the suffering that is inflicted on people because they are objectionable to a large, powerful elite that doesn't want to think about these things. This exhibition is meant to bring all of this forward into public view. And the gallery has been a great setting for the 6 artists who are participating. Ernst Pignon perhaps can best be seen in the outdoor settings that he has chosen to put his work. And many of these are in parts of the world terribly troubled and terribly conflicted. But he has managed to put his works up in these places. The painting we're standing before is called Gaza, Guernica. It was painted in 2011, and it was painted because of my horror and outrage at the war that was waged against the people of Gaza by the State of Israel. It was an attack on a captive population, a population that was essentially civilian, had nowhere to flee or to go. And I chose to do this picture as a demonstration of a trapped population, a trapped civilian population in an area totally controlled by the attacker. Now I know this is controversial and subject to a lot of interpretation. But as a Jew, I feel compelled to do so and to make my voice heard. Here we're looking at the work of Vladimir Velickovic. He has concentrated on, in this big painting, on a kind of figure that is hanging, surrounded by crows and birds. He has also been a constant draftsman of violence and motion. The motion in his work is often animal and sometimes human, but often it's a kind of violence that he has just explored over and over again during this whole period, from the 60s on to today. There's a great deal of pathos in his work, a kind of trembling at the cruelty that is inflicted both by human and by animal movement. And his work has been widely seen in Europe, and it continues with all its strength, even at this point. And he was very happy to be joining this exhibition. We're looking at the work of Peter Klasen, and like Velickovic, he came to France in the early 60s. His work is considerably more subjective and not as generic as the work of Velickovic. He touches on specific subjects like the question of drug use, the question of incarceration, the question of accidents, disasters. His art is a recording session of tragedies and accidents that happen because of the way people live. And this is one of the most important pieces probably he's ever done. It's called Sortie de Sécure. It's a kind of dialogue between a covered figure who we don't know, we don't see, and the rope, the material, the broken chairs, the broken door. Everything is broken in his work. There is nothing intact. It's a world that's been fragmented and broken into pieces. All of his work has this quality, and he has been very consistent over many, many years in highlighting all of these issues in his work. This is just a snapshot of all the different subjects he has touched on in his life. We're before the work of Horst Haack, and he's one of the co-organizers of the exhibition. And we're in front of a particular piece, which is his view of execution and his horror at the idea of condemning a human being to death by the state. And it is the method of killing with drugs by injection. Now that the electric chair has been eliminated, they try to make a more aesthetic death out of execution. This is one of a number of issues that Horst has been dealing with over many, many years. And he works every day, and his work is a continuous ribbon of recording the foibles and the horrors of our daily world. Here we're looking at the work of the American artist Joyce Kozloff. Her work was inspired by French school maps that were very prevalent in France from the 30s and 40s and 50s on, in all the classrooms of France. And she saw them on a trip here to Paris several years ago and decided she would like to work on them and give them their real history. And so starting with the original maps, she serigraphed them and then began working all the additions to them that have to do with history and have to do with the social consequences of policies that were kept, unkept, broken, developed. They contain a great deal of history, and that's why we call this room where her work is the reading room, because these maps take a lot of reading to get all the detail of what she has included. Her work is shown mostly in New York, and this is her first time showing in Europe in any serious way, and it's been a very, very successful introduction of this artist to Europe through the gallery here. This wall is in many ways the surprise of this exhibition. This is a work by Horst Haack, who, wandering the streets of various cities in Europe, came upon continuously people with little signs asking for money, saying they're hungry or they have no place to live. And Horst, instead of giving them money, said, "I will buy your sign." And he gave them a large amount of money and bought their sign. And he decided to show them all here as one work. And so they are the signs of desperate people in the streets. And it's very moving because all of them are saying the same thing. I've lost my place in the world somehow. I have no place to go, and I have nothing or not enough to eat. It's been the surprise of the show because of its unique character, the idea of taking these things and showing people what people on the street are asking, always asking. And this is one of the pieces that we all find so moving here in the show.